Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tran evades questions about ex-fiance's criminal record. Shocking information has come out about Bachelorette winner Devon Strader. Tran evaded questions about her ex's criminal record. Keep reading to find out more. Tran calls Ex-Fiance a new journey. Tran is ready to put her Bachelorette experience behind her. While she was hopeful at the start of the season, the outcome was more than she imagined. She found love with Devon Strader, or so she thought. They did get engaged during filming, but had broken up by the time the season finale aired in September. The two saw each other for the first time since their split on the After the Final Rose special, which aired live following the finale. Tran confronted her ex over his behavior surrounding their breakup, and then uncomfortably watched the bittersweet proposal. Devon Strader tried to clear his name a week later with a video address that included text messages that painted Jenn in a poor light. However, vlogger Reality Steve discovered a shocking secret from Devon's past that the show's background checks missed. He had a restraining order filed against him in 2017, and was also arrested that same year for allegedly breaking into her house. Devon Strader now claims the reports of his criminal past were exaggerated. However, Tran doesn't seem to want to discuss her ex at all anymore. The Hollywood Reporter caught up to her on the red carpet before her Dancing with the Stars debut. Instead, she talked about starting a new journey on the ABC dance competition. "I'm really just healing and focusing on me. It's been truly amazing," she said. Jenn added that The Bachelorette prepared her for Ex-Fiance because it taught her the importance of being herself. Joey Graziati reveals how dance show is like Bachelor. The outlet also spoke to Season 28 Bachelor, who is also a contestant on Season 33 of the dance show. Joey Graziati said he hopes to be the first Bachelor to win the Mirrorball Trophy. Several women from Bachelor Nation have won or come in the top 4, but none of the male stars of the franchise have ever won. He also noted some similarities between the reality shows. "That feeling you have before a live show on The Bachelor, I had that same feeling for tonight. It's different because I have to perform here. On The Bachelor, I'm just myself, and I just talk through how I'm feeling." The lights in the studio were bright, almost too bright, but Tran's radiant smile outshined them. Dressed in a chic, simple white dress that perfectly contrasted her warm caramel skin, she sat poised, every bit the composed and collected star of the reality television world. A rising favorite on The Bachelorette, Jenn had stolen hearts with her grace, quick wit, and undeniable charm. But today, there was a tension in the air, one that not even her confident smile could completely dispel. The interview, which was supposed to be an easy promotion of the upcoming season finale, took an unexpected turn. Jenn's ex-fiance, a shadow from her past that had recently resurfaced, had been in the news, not for reasons of romance, but for reasons far more sinister. Speculations about his criminal record, which had recently leaked, had stirred up rumors online, threatening to drag Jenn into a public relations storm she hadn't anticipated. The interviewer, a seasoned entertainment journalist with a knack for subtlety, leaned in slightly, her voice dropping to that delicate tone that indicated she was about to dive into dangerous waters. "Jenn, you've been a fan favorite for your openness and honesty, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Recently, though, there have been some reports about your ex-fiancé and his past. How do you respond to the growing concerns about his criminal record?" The question hung in the air like an ominous cloud. Jenn's smile wavered, just for a second, before it returned. But those who had watched her for weeks on the show knew her well by now, and they could sense that behind her perfect composure, something was off. She took a deep breath, the kind that betrayed someone choosing their words carefully, and began to speak. "I think it's important for people to understand that everyone has a past, right?" she said, her voice calm but measured. "I've always been transparent about mine, and I believe in giving others the grace to grow and change. As for my ex, What's in the past is just that, the past. My focus is on who I am today and the future I'm building, not on anyone else's mistakes or decisions. It was the kind of answer one might expect, graceful, vague, and expertly dodging the specifics. But the interviewer wasn't ready to let go of the topic just yet. Sensing the tension, she pressed further, her eyes narrowing slightly. Of course, we all have pasts. But given how public your relationship was at the time, don't you think it's fair that fans are curious about the kind of man you were once engaged to? Especially now, considering the nature of the allegations. Jenn shifted in her seat. She wasn't a stranger to tough questions, but this felt different. This wasn't about love triangles, dramatic rose ceremonies, or whether or not she found one. This was about real-world problems, ones that couldn't be glossed over with a charming smile or a well-rehearsed answer. I understand the curiosity, Jenn said slowly, her fingers interlocking on her lap. But what I want people to remember is that we all have layers to our stories. I think there's a tendency to define people based on certain chapters of their lives, without acknowledging the full narrative. I'm not here to speak on anyone else's behalf, nor do I think it's my place to defend or condemn anyone. What I can say is that I've learned a lot from every relationship I've been in, and those lessons are what matter to me now. The art of evasion was something Jenn had clearly mastered. She spoke with an air of diplomacy, deflecting the focus back to herself without ever really addressing the elephant in the room. It was a calculated move, and in any other circumstance, it might have worked seamlessly. But today, it was obvious that the audience wasn't going to be satisfied with vague answers. The interviewer, sensing Jenn's discomfort, leaned back slightly in her chair, her lips curling into a sympathetic smile. It must be difficult to navigate such a personal topic, especially when it's something that has come out so publicly. But I have to ask, did you know about his past when you were engaged? This time, the question landed like a sharp jab. Jenn blinked, her composure cracking just enough for the camera to catch it. For the first time during the interview, she hesitated, her eyes flicking toward the audience as if searching for an escape route. She began, her voice faltering. She paused, clearly weighing her options. She could either continue to dodge or finally offer a direct answer. After a moment, she smiled again. But it was different this time, smaller, softer, almost vulnerable. You know, relationships are complicated. There are always things you don't fully understand or learn about someone until later, and sometimes those things don't come to light until you're no longer together. It's all part of the growth process, and I think what matters is how you move forward once you know better. The room was silent. It wasn't the full confession some had hoped for, but it was enough to suggest that Jenn hadn't been entirely in the dark during her engagement. There was an underlying current of regret in her words, an unspoken admission that maybe she hadn't known everything about the man she once thought she'd marry. The interviewer nodded, seemingly satisfied with the partial answer. Thank you for sharing that, Jenn. It's never easy to speak on these kinds of things, especially when the world is watching. Jenn smiled again, this time more genuinely, as if relieved to have survived the ordeal. Thank you for understanding. I'm excited about the future, and I think that's where my focus needs to be. The interview wrapped up shortly after, with Jenn expertly steering the conversation back to lighter topics. The upcoming finale, her journey to find love, and her excitement for what was to come. But even as the cameras turned off and the studio lights dimmed, the weight of the questions about her ex-fiance still lingered in the air. As Jenn walked off set, her head held high, she knew that this chapter of her life wasn't closed yet. No matter how much she tried to evade it, the shadows of her past, and the man she once loved, would continue to follow her. But for now, she could at least breathe, knowing she had done what she always did best.